My hat! Alright, so we're going to continue the build. We're on bag 6, step 3, and for this there are two chassis braces that you can use. There's a short and a long, so if you compare them, one of them's longer than the other. We're going to be using the long one for this one. And one of the things that I will be needing is I will be needing this little pivot ball. And this pivot ball I'm going to insert, so if I point this toward me, I want to go left to right. So that's the way it says there to do it, and I'm going to go ahead and do this. And pretty sure I'm going to need pliers for this because it seems a little harder to do by hand. So let's go ahead and use the pliers. That goes in there nicely. The pivot ball is in there, and then it's a 16 millimeter screw that I will need. Was it this one? Maybe it was this one. Well, let's try this one. Let's see, 16. And this is the one that I had previously said was 18. 16. This one right here. So I'll use a 16 millimeter screw, and the 16 millimeter screw is going to go through the pivot ball. So that will go through here. And going in. It was going in at a slight angle, and that's why I couldn't push it through. But here we go. And we will just drive this in. Don't tell my wife I'm not wearing my ring right now. I hope she's not watching. Oh, I thought that was her. Nobody behind me. It wasn't my wife. I'm good. I am good. All right, now we need a 20 millimeter. I'm kidding. She's super nice, very supportive. I just kind of hope that she watches them last, or I get in trouble. It's always more fun when I get in trouble. All right. Well, let's see. This one looks to be a different size, 20 millimeter. This is it. And this 20 millimeter, so I'm holding it again like this. This is going to be this top hole right in here. So that's where the 20 millimeter goes. This seems quite long, to be honest, but it says 20. All right. Should go all the way through. All right. So again, you can use power tools. So something like this, power tools would save you some time. And then you can just get it close and then just finish it off by hand. I'm going to do everything by hand, as I mentioned before. This will give you a good idea on how long it would take you to build something. Again, if you're using Allen wrenches, it's going to take a really long time. So whatever it takes me here, add probably 2 to 3 hours more using Allen wrenches. All right, motor mount. Motor mount is going to go like this, but we also need this shield right over here. So the shield is going to go behind this plate, just like this, and in here. So you'll notice the little cutouts in here. So that's for this. And then once you add this, it would compensate for the difference in height from this third mounting point compared to these two. So this goes in here, and now I can use my 10 millimeter screws. Should be these here. So these are all the same size. I don't know why I placed them all in different places. All right, 10 millimeter. We'll go here. And you do not need to place both screws in at once. The only reason why I did this is to make my life harder. No, I'm kidding. It was to line up the shield. That's the only reason why. Something I thought, it's like, hey, maybe I'll do this, it'll line up the shield. But because I have to lift to get the hole started, there we go. A little bit more difficult, but I got it. Dun, dun, dun. There we go. So I can just move this in closer. Perfect. And let's see. So now I need another one, and this one will go right in here. And after the screw, that will be all for step 3. Then we can move on to step 4 with the slipper clutch. And the slipper clutch on this system, I do like. I prefer these systems over, for example, what Traxxas uses on the Slash. I don't really like those shoes that they use, especially the carbon ones. They break. So if you have a Slash, it doesn't matter if it's a 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, recommend that you upgrade that system. The aluminum ones work very well. The graphite pads work well as well on those, but for this one, it uses these friction pads, which is great. So for this, you're going to have these 2 discs here. Now the round one, well, so this one here, this is the one that goes in first, and if you take this disc, this goes down. And it should key in. So you may have to rotate this just a little, just so it goes in through there, right? This is actually thinned out, and there. So now I can spin. Now once you have that, do not apply lubricant here. So that's something important that you need to keep in mind. Now this here, this is going to be your spur. This is, how many teeth? Well, I'll figure it out later. 81. So right in there. So this is an 81 tooth spur, which is fine. Now these pads, one of them is going to go here, ultimately. Well, kind of switched it, but it doesn't matter. It goes in there. It will go in here. But there is one side that comes out. So if you notice the disc, these extend further out. So if you look at the manual here, those go toward the outside. Well, you would have your manual. So this goes toward the inside. This will go this way. And just to help me ensure that the pad is correct. All right, perfect. So I'm just peeking in through there, in here, just to make sure that that pad is sat properly, and it is. I will go ahead and place that one there. And then once you place that one, this one will sit on top. This will just go, again, turn it, and the reason why is it keys in. So the easiest way would actually be to line it up this way. So if you just line it up, and then there we go, it should seat properly. Now, once we have this, you're going to take your spring. So this is the spring, and the spring's going to sit on the back side. So here, you're going to need this thing here. It's like a screw, but notice the head is round, and then there's a hole that goes through it. There's going to be a pin that's going to go through there, and that's this pin right here. So that pin will go through the hole. I'll lay this down. There it is. I don't want it to fall through. It's the shaft pin. Is this a roll pin? It is a roll pin. Right, so I will be needing the pliers. And it does extend further. I'm going to have to press this in. Alright, so let me just grab some pliers. I had my large, oh, there they are. So I had these, well, these they're larger, they're not large, they're just larger pliers. But I'm going to hold this in place, place it here on the lower jaw and in the hole, and then you want to make sure that it's lined up straight. You could also do that, but again, it doesn't go too far. And I'm going to grab it, but you're just going to press it in, or not, and see how long it takes me. If this were morning, early afternoon, it would have been finished. I'm kidding. Let's see. Biggest thing is to not get your thumb. And there we go. Actually, the worst thing that could happen is this thing, if this thing didn't go there, that would be the worst thing. But it does. Now, once it's through all the way, I just moved to the lower jaw just beyond so this thing can start coming out. And now I'm just gauging how much I'm pressing this in. Now I'm doing the opposite, so let me go ahead and flip it because I pressed it too far in. Way too far. Alright. Maybe I need a vise. Vise would be easier, then I could just turn the screw. You know, I think that's probably the closest I'm going to get it. Nope. There I go. Alright, so if you have a vise, use a vise. Oh, perfect. Got it. Right, so now I can go ahead and drop this in. And this is no longer set properly. There it is. And that, again, just rotate and it should key in. Right in there. And that is all. So once it's keyed in, the pad is on there correctly. I'm checking the bottom right in there. It's seating correctly. I'm just going to hold it here. And now you have these two here. Now, one of the things that you will notice is this one has a smooth surface. It's just a hat. This is going to go later. Now, this one is uniform, both sides. So it has those little pieces. That's the one you slide in first. So this one goes in first, and then once you slide that in, you will use the spring. Here's the spring. And then once that is seated, the small area goes toward the spring. The flat, wider flat area, that's going to go toward the nut. So now, let's see, I'll move that nut over there, and you'll use the nut, which is the larger one. And here, to adjust the mesh, you're going to have to figure it out later. So right now I'm just going to drive it all the way in, and then I'm going to back it out 2.5 turns, and then I'll go from there. But you have to go to page 22, that's where they have the instructions. But right now I'm just going to go all the way in, and then I'm going to back it out about 2.5 turns. And the mesh, to be honest, that's something, once you run the truck, you'll figure it out. Alright, so let's go, that's half, 1.5, 2.5. You don't want it too loose because you'll burn out the clutch. You don't want it too tight because you can damage the gears in there. That's the reason why. So we're finished with step 4, and now we move on to step 5. So step 5, I'm going to grab the shock tower, and the shock tower, we will, let's see, is there a side? No, it looks the same. So it doesn't appear to be a difference on which way we will be mounting this, but we are going to be using 22mm screws, which I believe were these. Maybe it was those, so I have to measure. 22, it is these longer ones. And these screws are going to go here at the bottom. Oh, actually they go the other way. So if you hold it this way, they go in plastic first toward the outside. Unless I'm looking at the wrong thing. Let me just double check that. So I see screws going both ways. Oh, no, I apologize. I was looking at this one here, and the line looks as if it were going through the bottom hole, but it's great. So the 22 screws, those actually go on top. So those go on top, and I'm going to go ahead and put them all the way inside. So they go on top, they go all the way inside. And then you want to apply some thread lock to the screw, and apply some further here. This is for the shocks. And then you use these blue. That's here, and these are the ones you thread in. See, that makes sense. Good thing I looked at it closer. I saw those 2 screws going toward the plastic, but these were going the opposite direction, so first I was confused. But anyway, again, don't do this at 4 a.m. It's not 4 a.m. But here we go. So the shock tower is going to look like this right now. And once you have this set, you will be grabbing the transmission, and these are going to be facing. So if you grab the transmission, go this way. Shock tower is going to come in through here. So if the brace is facing you, this is going to be on the opposite side, right in here. So now the screws, you're going to need 4 screws, and they're going to be 12mm. It's going to be these 4 screws here that will hold the shock tower to this part here. Now let's see, is it these 12mm? They are these here. And this is probably the other one. Yes, perfect. All right, so those are the 12mm ones. I don't have to place them all, but what I like about these graphite shock towers is you can place the screws and it holds them. Let's go ahead and drive them in one by one. All right, here we go. And there it is. The other one, I'm going to start driving them closer. It almost looks like a bull, really. And there we go. So that one's a lot closer now. And I'm going to drive the other one. I really do like the shock towers. These are really well made. I like the way they're cut. I don't see any imperfections on them in the cuts. Sometimes you buy carbon fiber stuff or certain kits, and the graphite, you almost have to add CA glue to the side just so it doesn't come apart. This looks like it's really well made. So now I'm going to drive them in all the way. I drove that one. I'm going with the bottom one. And again, snug. Once they're snug, that's it. Stop tightening. That's it. And there we go. So here I have this that is ready. And now we can work with the mounts. So the mounts, I'm holding it this way. And I will be placing these. Does it matter? That's the question. No, they look the same. Alright, so I guess it doesn't matter. I'm just going to hold it this way, just like this. And this is just going to slide in this way, so the holes have to line up. And the screw's going to go in through here. So right now I'm just going to go for the high setting. The front ones I actually went ahead and tightened them all the way. These I'm not going to tighten all the way. So I'm probably going to end up changing them. I'm just going to place them in there just lightly. And here we go. And we'll do that one. All right. Now here it wants you to go on 3. I did 4. Once I place the body, then I'll decide how high or high-low, or how low. High-low. There we go. So 10mm screws. We need 2 of them, and that's going to hold these. Really, only 2 now. Best thing is it doesn't even tell you where to move them. Let's see. Does this give us anything? Nope. Nothing for 6. Alright. So if we look at this. Alright. I see. So the bumper is going to go on the lower ones. So we are placing the screws on the top ones. Great. So this will attach here. This will go in here. Now, it's the top ones that you want to do, and we use the 10mm. This is the two 10mm screws that I have. I'll put it on the driver. This will make it easier. And I'll place it here. I'll start threading with one hand. Alright, here we go. And so far I still have all of that extra hardware from the previous bags. It's just off camera, you can't see it. So I'm curious if I'm going to be using that or if it's extra hardware. I hope it's extra hardware. And the reason why is because, well, it'll be extra hardware. So if I ever need another screw, I'll have one for whatever vehicle. If it's not extra hardware, then, although I wouldn't be surprised with Team Associated. I mean, if you've been, did I do this correctly? Yes, I did. If you've been watching the build at open other bags, just to get the parts that I needed for one, I think I had to open bag 4, so I could have things for bag 3, or maybe it was bag 5, I don't remember. Alright, so that is there. Now we deal with the rear bumper. So the rear bumper, you're going to need these 2 little S's or Z's, and I'm going to go ahead and place them this way. Is there a right or a left? Right or left? I don't believe it matters, but this side has a smooth little area. I'm going to put that toward the outside. You can't really tell. It just looks a little shinier. So I'm going to leave that, I'm going to place that toward the outside. And you're going to grab your long screw. This is a really long screw. It's a 45mm screw. And it's going to go in through one. And then once you do that, place this one this way. So it's, see the short side? Well, has that little, the male side. It'll go here. And then notice that little L part. And then we're going to stick it through here, right? And, oh boy, I forgot one component. Hold on, let's back up. I missed one. I apologize. This one right here. Somewhat important, I would say. All right, so place it this way. These pointing up. Now this will go here. That will go there. Once you have that in there, now you can place this, and remember the L will go this way. All right, so we have this so far, just like that. All right, so that'll go here. Now I can grab this other one, slide it in. Now I can slide the screw through. And it's not going through. Come on. There. All right, now I'm going to grab the nut, and this one will go in here, and the nut just keys in. So as you start tightening this, it'll pull it inside there. It has a hex. There's a hex location there. All right, good. Do not over tighten. So should be able to rotate these. All right, great. Now we have the back part. So the back part, you're going to be using the 14mm screws, and there's going to be 4 of them. And this here will go this way. So these will go in here, and then this will go down here. So that's why you have to be able to move this. Now the 14mm screws, I believe, are these here, because those are the only ones that I have at least 4. And yes, yes indeed. So let me go ahead and pull 4. And I'm going to drive one of these first. See, now some people do leave the bumper out for weight. I don't think it's enough weight to leave the bumper out. I think the bumper looks good and it does protect. Now you could say, well, don't crash. Well, here's the thing, it's the rear bumper. Sometimes it's not about you crashing, it's about somebody just pulling on the throttle too much and running into you. I mean, that's happened so many times. Especially when you're slowing down to take a turn, the driver behind you forgets that there's a turn coming up. So that'll happen. That will happen. Keep that in mind. But here we go. I'm going to go ahead and tighten both of these all the way. And then I'll worry about the other one. Then one more screw and we will be almost finished with step 7. So once I do this, it'll just be 2 more screws, then I'll be finished with step 7. There we is in. Perfect. All right. So now the bumper. These two male ends are going to go into those two holes. And it'll just key in place. And you're going to use the other two 14mm screws that you should have left over. This thing moved. There we go. And all right, that one's close. So I'll do the other one first, and then I'll come back to this one. And one more, and almost finished. And remember, just snug. That is it. So this is what the rear end should look like once it is fully assembled. So there's the bumper. This is the mount. And here we go. So we will continue bag 6, step 8 on the next one. Thank you so much.